Following the Tear tour of 1990, Tony Martin and Neil Murray were replaced with a returning Geezer Butler and Ronnie James Dio. Cozy Powell would be gone a few months into the recording of Black Sabbath's 1992 album, Dehumanizer, giving way to the return of the previous Dio-era drummer, Vinny Appice.
Weren't you content with the last lineup?
Yeah, I thought the last lineup was good for what we'd done as that band, you know. But when the opportunity came of putting this band back together again, there's no comparison, you know. I mean, it was great because I wanted to work with Geezer again. Anyway, whatever we'd done, it doesn't matter whatever name we were under or whatever. I just wanted to, you know, to continue playing with Geezer because we've always been best of friends and great working together. So it's not a case of because it's obviously grass is greener on the other side. It's not that one. It was a good opportunity to get together because we've still got a lot to offer.
Back again, just in time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. It's been great. From
Vinny, Geezer, Tony,
and Ronald. Thank you very much. And we'd like to say good night, but in your language, buona notte.
Meanwhile, Ozzy has set up a reunion with his original band Black Sabbath, which he left in 1979. Osbourne has invited his old bandmates to join him on stage in Los Angeles next month for the last shows of what he's calling his final tour. Sabbath guitarist Tony Iommi, bassist Geezer Butler, and drummer Vinny Appice have agreed to join Ozzy November 14th and 15th at the Pacific Coast Amphitheater. Original Black Sabbath drummer Bill Ward, who left the band in 1981, will also be there, but current Black Sabbath vocalist Ronnie James Dio says he will not take part in the reunion.
I felt Black Sabbath was more important to be by itself, on its own, to recreate its own image again, than to have to be in the shadow of someone else. And that person just happened to be Ozzy. It could have been Judas Priest. Maybe Rob would have been singing with him, I don't know, but that wasn't a problem for me.
That show was never even asked, like, do you guys think we should do this show? Like, presented to Ronnie, like, you want to do this show? What do you think? Instead, it was just decided among themselves that we're doing the show. So, you know, it doesn't make Ronnie feel too well, you know, and then it's just, like you said, lack of communication.
Well, what happened on that is we were due to do the custom-made dates with Ozzy, and which would have been good for him too, you know. And he wouldn't do that. He refused flatly to do that. So we decided we should do it. It was a good date for us to do. And after that, we didn't actually break up. We just all went our own ways, you know. It wouldn't have. I think we've gone as far as we could go with that lineup. It wasn't. It took like 2 years, over a period of 2 years, to do that last album with him. So.
Stemming from the Costa Mesa gigs, plans were in place for a reunion of the original lineup of Bill Ward, Ozzy Osbourne, Geezer Butler, and Tony Iommi, which was meant for the band to do a stadium tour, then for each other to continue their various endeavors. In the meantime, Jeff Nichols, Tony Iommi, and Geezer Butler would begin work on the next album. When it came time to find their vocalist, one name seemed obvious.
When Tony and myself started this album, we approached Tony Martin again because he'd had a great reaction when he was in the band in Europe. They didn't really do much in America, but he built a really big following in Europe, and we'd had a lot of letters in from the fans asking us why we'd got Dio in instead of keeping Tony Martin. So it seemed the logical thing to do was to get him back. We played him some of the stuff that we had written, and he really liked it. He went away and put vocals to it, and it really worked well.
The two Tonys picked up exactly where they had left off. With Geezer Butler completing the trio, the songs came together quite easily.
Had the same sort of input really as we had on the Eternal Idol, well, not so much the Eternal Idol, but Headless Cross and Tear for sure, where we bounce ideas off each other, which is one of the great things about this lineup. We were always able to do that kind of thing, and it was great to be able to get back into the flow of things and just, you know, carry on working that way. It's good.
But having kind of been at the forefront of the business for so many years, when you come to write a new record, I'm just wondering, how do you kind of manage to keep challenging yourselves, keep things interesting, keep being creative? How do you do that? Is it just the creative process itself?
We don't seem to have a lot of problem. Dare I say that? Said it now. Normally, it's pretty
useful. The next album.
Yeah, it's happened pretty good, really, because we do bounce off pretty easy off each other.
Especially when we're drunk.
Yeah, especially when we're drunk. So they seem to come out, you know, quite a lot. We've had no problem up to now, getting riffs and ideas. And I mean, we got stacks from the last album we've left over, we've never used, which we probably won't even use, you know.
Jeff Nichols did play on the album, but his role, just like during Dehumanizer, was drastically reduced.
There'd been a real change in the Black Sabbath sound from the originals, you know, the Ozzy days. They didn't have keyboards. Well, Jeff Nichols was the keyboard player, and he introduced that kind of keyboard thing with the Ronnie James Dio period. And that suddenly started to open up things, you know, melody-wise. Tony Iommi could sort of branch off and do layers of stuff like that. By the time we got to Headless Cross, we were going crazy with it. I mean, we were in the studio layering stuff. I did 50 tracks of vocals. Tony was doing like 20 tracks of guitars. It was just going mad. Really, it was just a continuation of this keyboard thing, which allowed us to do that. And we kind of got a bit technical with the Sabbath sound. I don't think we could have gone any further with that idea. In fact, when I came back to do Cross Purposes, we kind of went back towards the old four-piece sound with Geezer Butler. So I think Headless Cross and Tear was it. Really.
Gone were the heavily keyboard-layered tracks. The structure of the songs, as well as the number of takes and overdubs, was limited to more of a basic four-piece band. With the back to the basic sound, a change in the approach to doing lyrics was needed as well.
Well, we're actually going into a video now, the first video from Cross Purposes, and a great riff in this song as well, as you'll see. And this song obviously was inspired by the Beverly Allett case, a nurse that actually murdered several children in her care. A very kind of 90s subject to deal with. What kind of drew you to that subject?
Well, Tony Martin was responsible for that.
Oh, that's it.
Tony Martin drew him to that.
Blame me, I know, I get it. It just seemed really appropriate that we should try and bring things up to date a little bit. In the past, a couple of albums that I'd written with the guys, they were more historical things. They were all true things that had happened in the past, but that nevertheless historical, and it gave it like a theme. This time I wanted to bring like today's subjects, things that are happening around the world, without actually mentioning names. That name is not actually mentioned in the song, so you wouldn't know unless you told people what it was about, what it was influenced by. But I wanted to do it that way, and we came up with some really good ideas, and it really did fit with the music that Tony and Geezer were putting out, so it worked well, I thought.
What's it about then?
Well, actually, there's a track called Cross of Thorns, which we've been playing in the set, and it's been going down really well. It's one of the best songs in the set, which is written about the Irish situation that we have back in the UK. Something that's been with us for hundreds of years and isn't going to go away in just a couple of days. But the song more is about the situation, the kids, the anger and the frustrations of the people, rather than the politics of the thing. It doesn't really come into that side of it.
The idea came, I'd worked with Cozy Powell's Hammer, and we were in Ireland, and we were on the road being driven around by a promoter, and at the time the Irish situation was pretty bad. I mean, you know, I don't know if you know much about the history of all that Irish and English thing, with the IRA and everything. And so we're English guys traveling through, you know, Republican Ireland. And there was this guy, and I said, what what's it like, you know, living here? He said, what do you think it's like? It's like wearing a cross of thorns. And I went, ooh, that's a great title for a song.
Don't come closer, 'cause it ain't silly. Just turn around or walk away. I gotta tell you, there are no rules here. Sometimes I wonder what goes on there behind those eyes. When a promise is broken and no one trusts you, and no one's crying with their head to theirs. When you talk about saving the souls of the faithful, you can't help thinking you got blood on your hands from a cross of thorns. Cross of thorns.
I was just wondering, which songs on the album provided you guys with the most satisfaction as songwriters, and why? Is there a couple that really kind of stick out for you?
For me now, because while you're doing it, sort of each one that you do becomes your favourite song, and then you do another one, and then that becomes your favourite. So
And it's difficult to be objective as well when you're doing it, isn't it?
After such a long, since it, I mean, it's been nearly a year now since we recorded it, so I think Cross of Thorns stands out the most to me.
Tony's nodding there.
No, I feel the same way.
When a promise is broken and no one trusts you, you've got blood on your hands from a cross of thorns. Cross of thorns. Thank you for listening.
I really do like Cross of Thorns. We're all pretty much off on the same song here, but also Dying for Love, which is the ballad, really held a lot of feelings for me. I thought that was a great track. It's not one that we're actually playing at the moment, but I do like that song.
Another song from Cross Purposes. This is actually a ballad that we did with Black Sabbath, written about the war in Croatia and Bosnia and all that shit. I don't know why we found inspiration in that, but we did, and we wrote this song. It's called Dying for Love. Take a life and steal a shadow. All that's left is humanity. Getting closer. Change is bound to come. There's someone out there holding candles to the sun. Fatal answer says that peace will come. Take your time, stand in line, and be proud. Take a knife and steal a shadow.
We also have a track called Psychophobia, which is inspired by the Waco, Texas thing with David Koresh. Just pointing out that there are still 1 or 2 loonies in the world.
For sure.
What about you? Well, it started off about me, and then that's...
Listen to the wind, hear the gospel blow. Tell me that you don't hear what I'm hearing, I will let you go. Look up to the sky, put your trust in me. Tell me that you don't see what I'm seeing, and I will set you free.
Favorite songs didn't make the album. What's the Use is one of my favorites on that album.
Oh, you like that?
Oh, you didn't like that one? I love that one.
Okay, well, yeah, What's the Use? It was almost a bit of a throwaway track, and I kind of like it. I love the riff in it. I wasn't convinced I had the right lyrics on it. My brain being like the perfectionist brain that I've got, just I wasn't quite sure about it, but yeah, it's a good enough track. But you know, like you say, it wasn't used.
And Eyewitness, was that about the movie of the Amish?
Kind of. It was about the religious belt across the states. I mean, it was not about anybody in particular, and I do try not to mention names when I'm writing lyrics. I think it's important not to single it out, you know, too much, because once you've got a focus that type on, you know, once you mention somebody's name or it's about our person or it's about our thing, then you're stuck. You know, it's hard to get it. There is a certain element, and I know all rock bands say this, you know, you like people to take their own, you know, inspiration and their own sort of feeling about it. But it was about the, you know, the religious belt across the states, and there is an element in that, but nothing particular about any, you know, group or person. It was just the feel that you get from that subject, you know.
Place you've always wanted to be. Those pleasures always did escape you. It's always been so out of reach. Nothing so near ever felt so far. Now it's here within the past. I never really burning. Set it up.
We're lucky, aren't we, that English is a great language to write with. And I even made up a word.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Cross Purposes. I needed to explain hypocrisy, but from the point of view of Black Sabbath, so I called it Sabocracy.
Nice.
And I put this word in. No, just one person noticed and got in touch. A fan got in touch and said, "What does subocracy mean?" I went, "Wow, that's cool. Somebody noticed." I feel like it should be in the Oxford Book of Dictionary or something now.
Also, there's talk that he wasn't credited on the song Evil Eye, but they said that Eddie Van Halen wrote some of the riffs and played on it, because it sounds like Tony to me.
Yeah, on the record it's Tony.
Oh, okay.
In the writing session, Eddie Van Halen was in town, and Tony Iommi, being Tony Iommi, said, "Why don't you come along for a jam?" So in walks Eddie Van Halen. Wow, dude, what a dude! He's just a great, well, he was a great dude. Obviously, he's passed away now, and I recorded it. He's wild, and he's like writing stuff. He's all over the place, and you go, whoa, where's this going? And of course, Iommi is very much, he's like a tank. He's just like solid and keeps going. So the two of them together was just amazing. It was great, to have Eddie playing on it and his take on it. But then on the final cut, Tony did the solos because Eddie wasn't in town then.
So he did write some of the riffs on that song?
Oh yeah. I mean, he kicked it off with, and then Tony refined it, and then played it on the track. And at the time, Geezer Butler said it was the best album he'd ever done. I mean, it was very cool working with Geezer. I mean, obviously I've met Geezer before, and it was just really cool having him on board. The atmosphere is great, when the guys are together and they're doing their thing. it's really cool. You know, it's a nice thing to do. And so I just got on with it, really, and they let me get on with it. They didn't hinder me at all.
Yeah.
So I just got on with it and did it. And it turned out great, I thought. We used to stay at the studio. It was like a live-in studio, you know. Everybody had their room there, so out in the countryside, so that we were all pretty much together most of the time. And it was a laugh, you know. It was all right. Not much tension in it at all, really. We had a great time, and the songs were going like really well.
Exactly how much time did you spend working on this album, writing the songs and recording it, mixing
About
it?
6 months from the beginning till the end of the album, including writing.
And also including auditioning drummers as well at that point, because we took a time out to audition drummers.
And you've got Bobby Rondinelli, former Rainbow drummer, with you as well. And how's he been working out? Because he's a real powerhouse of a drummer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been working out great. Because when we first were looking for a drummer, we auditioned about 6 or 7 different drummers, and none of them quite got it the way. And then Bobby phoned up and asked if he could come over and try out, and he came out and fitted in straight away.
And our tour manager, Robert Gambino, calls me and he goes, "Rondinelli, Sabbath's looking for a drummer." So I says, "Oh, great." So I said, "Well, why don't you call up Tony and put in a good word?" He goes, "I can't, his missus doesn't like me anymore." So he gave me Tony's number. And I called, his wife at the time answered the phone, and I said, "Hi, my name is blah, 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 and I heard Sabbath's looking for a drummer, you know, could you please give Tony my number?" So about 10 minutes later, he called me back, and he goes, "Well, it's funny you called, because we had your name on a list."
Leif Mazes returns from the Headless Cross and Tear albums to serve as the producer, with the album being released by IRS Records, rolling out worldwide between January the 26th and February the 8th of 1994. Pressed on vinyl, CD, and cassette formats, the Japanese release would see What's the Use as a bonus track. Little did Black Sabbath know that the burning angel used as the centerpiece of the album's cover had already been used by the Scorpions on their 1991 single, Send Me an Angel, who was portrayed by adult model, Melody Hampson. As the band plans its return to the stage, Tony Martin suffers from a throat infection, causing him to have some vocal problems throughout the run of the tour. Geezer was very positive about the tour for this album, saying that he was happy that with Tony Martin the band finally had a singer who could truly fulfill all eras. Fans were blessed with some welcome additions to the set list, including full renditions of The Wizard, Into the Void, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Symptom of the Universe.
It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I'm lucky that I have the kind of voice that can cover all that stuff. And this is one of the things I felt very strongly about, covering as much of Black Sabbath's history as possible. It is 25 years. I know Geezer doesn't like me to mention that, but it is. And there's a lot of material in there which we can now do. And it's one of the few lineups which is really able to put that really across. So I enjoy it. I mean, it's great. I really have a great respect for all of the people that's been in Sabbath before. Very important parts of Sabbath's history, you know, the Ronnie thing, the Ozzy thing, obviously. And there's some important songs there to do. So I really enjoy, I get off on doing all those things because we can, you know, so.
Well, this time we sent out to, we selected a about 50 or 60 fan club members and sent them out a letter and asked them to send us like their favourite, what they'd like to see us doing live, because it's impossible for us to like go through every album that we've ever done. And so we had a lot of letters in, and we made like a sort of top 40 of the most requested songs, and based it largely around that, and obviously the ones that we wanted to play as well.
So what sort of surprises have you got? I think are you playing Wizard now as well?
Yeah. Zeppelin stuff now.
That would be a surprise.
Yeah, we're doing a selection of Ulster. We do the Wizard, yeah. We do Into the Void and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and that's songs that we haven't done since way back, you know, with Ozzy, and even then we didn't do them that many times. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath we've probably only done a couple of times, I think. So it's great being able to do all these things. I mean, he can't sing them, but at least the music with that sounds.
But it's remembering the words.
What about the arrangements? Have you changed those at all, or?
No, not really. We've kept it the same key. We have to keep more or less the same key because that's what makes it sound so powerful in the first place. I've been able to duck and dive a little bit with the melody, but basically it's the same, you know, and it's great to be able to do all those songs, which, like Tony said, haven't been played for so long. You know, and when the kids sort of hear those things, it's like, wow.
Yeah, because I think they expect us to do that, like the War Pigs and the ones that we've done probably for a long time. So I think even we didn't realise it. And then when the idea came to do it through the fan club, it was a good idea because then we can give them what they want to hear and we can play, you know, what we want to play.
The band only had a few problems. May the 18th, the local church protested the concert at the Richthall in Fulda, Germany, mainly in defiance of the burning angel on the concert posters in the area. This was solved by having someone going to each poster and stenciling a crocodile, disguising that it's an angel. Long overdue is a new concert film for a home video release. IRS Records sets up to release a VHS CD combo titled Cross Purposes Live. Filmed at London's Hammersmith Odeon, the concert would take place on April 13th.
There's a live album as well, isn't it, we recorded, but we haven't even heard it right. We did, when we did Hammersmith, we filmed and recorded it, but we've been on the road since that, and we've sort of forgotten about it. So.
Oh yes, I was at that show and I saw the cameras, yes.
So we'll see, when we get back, we'll see how that's turned out. Maybe we'll put that out late summer or something.
Brilliant. Well, that's something to look forward to.
This would be released on March 1st, 1995 without much fanfare. The box set was, and still is, the only band-authorized release of this album and film. Bobby Rondinelli's contract would run through the end of the Cross Purposes tour, however South American dates were added at the end. Bobby's manager demanded too much money to extend his contract. None other than original drummer Bill Ward was invited back into the band.
Because we worked on a reunion about, when was it, Tony? A couple of years ago, I think. We were working on a reunion of all the original band, you know, with Ozzy and Tony and myself and Geese. And when that didn't happen, that finally allowed me to have an open mind and start to want to look towards seeking an opportunity to start being with the fellas again. So that was about, I guess, in time, I don't know, was that a year, 18 months or something? I think.
18 months. How do you feel to come back to your really band that you're...
How do I feel right now? I feel really comfortable and I feel excited and I feel extremely comfortable. That's my measure as well. I don't feel like fear or I don't feel like not uncomfortable.
That you, other than Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio, you are the only other Black Sabbath singer that actually did perform with all three original members. And was that in just South America shows?
Yeah, when they were all together, yes. The time you're talking about, when they had Bill, Geezer, and Tony, that was the only time they were all together. Great guys. I mean, they're just really cool to work with. I mean, Geezer tends to keep himself to himself. You know, he's quite quiet as a person. But Bill is very, you know, you can interact with Bill quite well. I like them all. I think they're great blokes. I really do.
It was difficult for me to re-enter the band for the last 10 years. There was about 5 reasons. And one of them was because I had a commitment to Oz. Ozzy didn't ask me to make the commitment, I made it to him. And I made it based on some private things that happened between us back in the early 80s. So I was unable to rejoin the band until Oz had a choice. And he had a choice a year ago when we did the reunion. And he made his choice, and when he made his choice, he automatically released me to give me opportunities now to be with the band again. So that's what that was about. There was 5 reasons, but that was one of them.
Yeah.
I needed to keep a commitment to ours and basically not to rejoin Black Sabbath. You know, whether I was involved or you know or whatever the circumstances might have been. I didn't want to rejoin without ours, and I had to hold that commitment for about roughly 10 years.
Well, how many shows were there? Do you remember? Was it more than one show?
Yeah, it was the South Americas. So we did like Brazil, Argentina, Chile.
So I just went by the official press statements, you know, which is basically that my chops weren't that good in South America. I don't believe any of that crap, but, you know, because I know what I had to do in South America and I know how I had to perform. And looking back in history, I've not been happy with any band, any lineup in Black Sabbath since Ozzy left. You know, I play in Black Sabbath. You know, I don't play in, you know, and here's another version. You know, you know, I'm not even going to defend that statement. You know, but it's the truth. I was playing. Tony Martin is a great guy, great singer. He sings in time. You know, I'm not trying to put it on Tony Martin, but I had to do a lot of calculations in a very short amount of time. 1 week before South America, having not played a set for how many? 16 years. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just know that I did my very best to perform.
So it was a situation where it was just one-off shows, or was there plans on the original with yourself continuing?
You know what? This is again the conversations that go on between the managements. You end up reading between the lines because nobody really knows, and so you're trying to keep track of the story, and they were obviously there for a reason. And I don't know what the conversations were. So whether they were thinking, let's try it and see if it works, then maybe we can do it like a big tour. Or maybe they were thinking, you know, we need a few high-profile shows. Maybe the promoter had asked, you know, for those guys to be involved. I really don't know.
There was quite a few things going on that I wasn't aware of before, while we were on tour, due to Geezer's wife, Gloria, who managed him at the time, who does manage him. And there were things I wasn't very happy with. That was like we'd recorded that we'd done an album called Nativity in Black. That was for the tribute album, and we'd done a track for it, I think. And what happened was we were supposed to be playing on this track, Geezer, Bill, and myself, and Rob Alford, or whoever it was, I can't remember. And I couldn't get permission from the record company to play on it, so I was told that the track was dropped. And as far as I knew, it was finished, and that was it. It was all over with. The next thing I heard was a couple of months later that the track was out, and I wasn't on it. And I thought that was pretty bad, especially coming from Gloria, who's, you know, to be Geezer's wife. So I just freaked out at Gloria, and basically I fired her. And so the next was obvious, you know, Geezer went with her. So that's what happened on that.
The last few albums I did with Sabbath just weren't really satisfactory to me at all. And I've been writing lots and lots of stuff which I thought were more for me rather than the Sabbath stuff was. So it was just like a lot of frustration, things building up in me. And I thought, to me, Sabbath had come to the end and it just wasn't happening anymore. So, and I just wanted to, I've always wanted to do a solo thing, or to get a band together and do, you know, my music. So I did.
When we came back from South America, those guys just exploded and never wanted to talk to each other again. It saddened me. It made me feel sad.
I totally lost confidence in the Sabbath thing, and I knew that there was so much more in me to do that I couldn't do in Sabbath, and it was really restricting me. A lot of the stuff that I was writing, I'd play to other people in Sabbath, and I just didn't really get it.
We have to go. Where do we go? We'd gone on tour and we'd done some stuff, and it was starting to feel a bit like a job, and you don't want music to feel like that. It's just, you know, you want to be enjoying yourself and doing whatever, but it was getting I don't know, like distant. The guys in the band were getting distant, and they weren't talking. Tony sort of locked himself away. Geezer locked himself away. I used to go out and about. I mean, like I said, I'm 10, 12 years younger than the lads, so being young and foolish, I was always getting out and sort of getting into trouble of some kind, and they weren't impressed with that either. And it was just getting a bit distant. So by the time we come to do Forbidden, we were already...
Another point of contention that Geezer Butler has brought up is that Cross Purposes was not supposed to be a Black Sabbath album, as negotiations were ongoing for a reunion with the original lineup. While the other members of the band dispute this claim, Bobby Rondinelli has gone so far as to say bullshit. He was asked to join Black Sabbath, and that he recorded the album that was called a Black Sabbath album the entire time. Tony Iommi has stated that the album was to be released as a Black Sabbath album after the reunion tour.
Yeah, that's the reason. The idea was originally it was just going to be, you know, a 2 or 3 week stadium dates. That was how it was put to us, and we thought, well, yeah, be a good idea. We spoke to Tony about it. We all thought it was, you know, you can do that for a couple of weeks. And then they done up. There was a lot of negotiations going backwards and forwards between Liars and management, because there's 4 managements, 4 record companies, 4 Liars. Wow. And it was just ridiculous. And